The alien woman was living in my mountain cabin. Part 1, Marcus. Chen's boots crunched on the fallen leaves as he climbed the last stretch to his cabin. 6 months. It had been 6 long months since he'd been here. The city had been suffocating him, and he needed this place more than ever. The old wooden cabin sat where he'd left it, tucked between tall pine trees on the mountainside. But something felt different. Marcus stopped walking and looked around. The forest was too quiet. Even the birds weren't singing. He pulled his backpack higher on his shoulders and walked to the front door. The lock was still there, but the wood around it looked scratched. Fresh scratches. Marcus frowned and pulled out his key. Inside, the cabin smelled wrong, not musty like it should, after being empty for months. It smelled ... lived in. Marcus set his bag down and looked around. His furniture was in different places. The old couch was pushed against the far wall instead of facing the fireplace. The kitchen table was turned sideways. And there were things that didn't belong to him. A strange metal cup sat on the counter. It was smooth and silver with no seams. Anywhere. When Marcus picked it up, it was warm to the touch, even though the cabin was cold. "Hello?" he called out. His voice echoed in the small space. "Is someone here?" No answer. Marcus walked to the kitchen. His canned food was organized differently. Someone had arranged everything by size and color. The labels faced outward in perfect rows. This wasn't how he left things. On the wall above the sink, there were marks. It's not scratches, but symbols. It looked like they were burned into the wood. With precise heat, the marks formed patterns that hurt his eyes to look at directly. Marcus touched one of the symbols. The wood was smooth and warm. A sound came from the back room. A soft thump, like someone trying to move very quietly. Marcus's heart started beating faster. He grabbed a kitchen knife from the drawer and held it low at his side. It's not threatening, but ready. "I know someone's here," he said in a calm voice. "I'm not going to hurt you. This is my cabin, but we can talk." Another sound. Definitely from the back bedroom. Marcus walked slowly down the short hallway. The floorboards creaked under his feet like they always did. Each step seemed too loud in the silence. The bedroom door was half open. Marcus could see his bed inside, but the blankets were arranged strangely. They were folded in perfect geometric shapes, not like any human would fold them. He pushed the door open wider. At first he didn't see her. Then his eyes adjusted to the dim light. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. Behind his overturned dresser, something was hiding. Something that definitely wasn't human. She was tall, probably 7 feet if she stood up. Her skin glowed. With a soft blue-white light like moonlight on water, she had 4 arms, all pressed against her body as she tried to make herself smaller. Her face was humanoid, but wrong too many angles. Eyes too large and completely black. She was frozen. In terror, staring at him, Marcus stared back. His mind tried to process what he was seeing. An alien, a real alien, in his bedroom, hiding behind his furniture like a scared animal. She was hurt. Even in the dim light, Marcus could see dark stains on her clothing. Burns, maybe. Her breathing was quick and shallow, like she was in pain. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then Marcus did something that surprised them both. He slowly put the knife on the floor and kicked it away from them. He raised both hands, palms out, where she could see them. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The alien woman's large black eyes tracked his movements. She understood his body language, even if she didn't understand his words. But she didn't relax. If anything, she seemed more afraid. Marcus took a step back, then another. He kept his hands visible and his movements slow. "This is my home," he said, still speaking gently. "But you can stay. You're hurt, aren't you?" Shh. Made a sound then. It's not words, but something like a whimper. It was the most human thing about her, that sound of fear and pain. Marcus backed all the way out of the room. In the kitchen, he found a clean towel and filled a bowl with water. He also grabbed a can of soup and a can opener. It was universal. Wasn't it? He set everything on the floor outside the bedroom door, then backed away again. "There's food and water," he said, "and something to clean your wounds." I'm going outside for a while. You don't have to be afraid. Marcus picked up his jacket and walked to the front door. Before leaving, he looked back toward the bedroom. My name is Marcus, he said to the empty hallway. I'll be back in an hour. The food is for you. Sighed, Marcus sat on his porch steps and tried to make sense of what just happened. An alien was living in his cabin. She was hurt and terrified. She had been here for months, based on how organized everything was. But why was she so afraid? She was bigger than him, probably stronger, with those 4 arms, yet she hid like she expected him to kill her on sight. Marcus thought about the burns on her body. They looked like weapon wounds. Someone had hurt her badly. Maybe someone was hunting her. The smart thing would be to call the authorities. Marcus had spent enough time in the military to know how that would go. They would take her away. Study her. Maybe hurt her more. The woman in his cabin wasn't a threat. She was a refugee. Marcus stood up and walked around his property. Everything looked normal from outside. There's no strange vehicles, no government agents watching from the trees. If anyone was looking for her, they hadn't found this place yet. After an hour, he went back inside. The food was gone. The bowl was empty and clean. Even the can was missing. She had taken everything back to the bedroom with her. But she had left something for him. On the kitchen counter sat a small device that glowed with the same soft light as her skin. Next to it was a crude drawing scratched into a piece of wood. The drawing showed a stick figure with 4 arms, her, and a stick figure with 2 arms, him. Between them, she had carved a simple symbol that somehow conveyed gratitude. Marcus picked up the glowing device. It was warm and smooth, and when he held it, he felt better. The tiredness from his long hike faded. The device was healing him somehow. She was saying thank you. Marcus smiled and called toward the bedroom. You're welcome, and don't worry, you're safe here. From the back room came a soft sound that might have been relief. Marcus began planning. If someone was hunting her, they might come here eventually. He needed to be ready. His cabin was remote, but it wasn't defensible. He would have to change that. But first he needed to earn her trust. He needed to find out who was chasing her. Because Marcus. Chen had learned one thing in his 45 years of life. When someone needed help, you helped them. Didn't matter if they were human or alien. It was just the right thing to do. The alien woman was living in my mountain cabin. Part 2. 3 days passed before Marcus saw her again. Every morning, he left food outside the bedroom door. Every evening, the food was gone. Sometimes she left small gifts in return. Another glowing device. A piece of metal bent into impossible shapes, or strange symbols burned into wood scraps. Marcus established a routine. He would announce himself when he entered the cabin. It's Marcus. He would say loudly, I'm just getting some coffee. Or I'm fixing the roof today. I'll be loud, but don't worry. He always told her what he was doing. Even if she didn't understand his words, his tone was calm and predictable. Trust had to start somewhere. On the 4th morning, Marcus was chopping firewood behind the cabin when he heard something break inside. He dropped his axe and ran too. The front door? Are you okay? Called out. A soft sound came from the kitchen. It's not words, but definitely distress. Marcus walked slowly into the cabin. The alien woman was standing in his kitchen, holding pieces of his broken coffee mug. Her 4 hands shook as she tried to fit the pieces back together. Her glowing skin had turned a darker blue. Embarrassment, maybe, or fear. She looked up at him with those large black eyes and made a sound like an apology. It's okay, Marcus said gently. It's just a mug. Don't worry about it. She didn't understand his words, but she understood his tone. Still, she kept trying to fix the broken pieces. Her hands moved in ways that seemed impossible, bending at joints that shouldn't exist. Marcus noticed something else. She was thinner than before. Much thinner. The clothes she wore, his old shirts that she must have found, hung loose on her frame. She wasn't just hurt. She was starving. You need more food, he said, moving slowly toward the cabinet. Much more food. He pulled out cans of soup, beans, and vegetables, more than he usually left for her. The woman watched him with careful attention. Then Marcus did something different. Instead of leaving the food and walking away, he opened one of the cans. He got a pot from the cabinet and started cooking. The woman backed away, but she didn't run. She watched him work from across the kitchen. Marcus cooked the soup slowly, letting the smell fill the cabin. He talked while he worked, keeping his voice low and calm. "I spent 6 months in the city," he said, stirring the pot. "Hated every minute of it. Too many people, too much noise. This place is better. Quiet, peaceful." The woman tilted her head as she listened. She might not understand the words, but she was learning the sound of his voice. "I built this cabin myself," Marcus continued. "Took me 2 years. Had help from my brother, but mostly it was just me. I like working with my hands." He poured the soup into 2 bowls and set them on the kitchen table. Then he sat down at one bowl and started eating. He didn't look at her directly, but he could see her in his peripheral vision. She was staring at the second bowl. Marcus ate slowly and kept talking. "The winter here gets cold. Really cold. You'll need warmer clothes. I have some extra blankets in the closet." After a few minutes, the woman moved closer. It's very slowly, like she was approaching a dangerous animal. It sat down across from him at the table. Up close, Marcus could see more details. Her skin wasn't just glowing, it had patterns in the light, like circuits under the surface. Her forearms moved independently, each one capable of different tasks. And her face, while alien, showed expressions he could almost understand. Right. Now, she looked grateful and scared at the same time. She picked up the spoon with one of her upper hands and tried the soup. Her eyes widened, apparently. It tasted good. She ate quickly, like someone who hadn't had a real meal in weeks. Marcus finished his bowl and got up to make more soup. The woman tensed, ready to run, but he just moved to the stove and started cooking again. "You've been here for months," he said while he worked. "Can tell. You organized everything. Fixed things I didn't even know were broken. You're good with your hands, too." The woman made a soft sound. It's almost like agreement. Marcus brought the second pot of soup to the table. This time, she didn't hesitate. Ate 3 full bowls before she was satisfied. After eating, she stood up and walked to the wall where she had burned those symbols. She touched one of them, and it glowed brighter. Then she looked at Marcus and pointed to herself. She was trying to tell him something. Marcus got a pencil and paper from a drawer. He drew a simple stick figure and pointed to himself. "Akas," said clearly. Then he drew a second stick figure with 4 arms and handed her the pencil. She took it carefully and drew something that made Marcus's blood run cold. She drew multiple stick figures with 4 arms, but they were in cages. Above them, she drew larger figures with weapons. The large figures were hurting the smaller ones. Prison, slavery, torture. Then she drew herself running, with the large figures chasing her. She drew spaceships and explosions. She drew herself crashing and hiding. She was a refugee. Someone had been hunting her across space. She had crashed on Earth while trying to escape. Marcus looked at the drawings and felt anger building in his chest. Someone had hurt her. Someone had caged her people and made them suffer. The woman watched his face and saw his anger. But instead of being afraid, she seemed surprised. Why would a human care about her people suffering? Marcus took the pencil and drew something new. He drew the large figures with weapons, but this time he drew himself standing between them and her. He drew himself with weapons too, fighting them off. The message was clear. "I will protect you." The woman stared at the drawing for a long time. Then she did something unexpected. She reached across the table with one of her hands and gently touched Marcus's arm. Her skin was warm and soft. Despite the strange glow, the touch lasted only a second, but it said everything. "Thank you. I trust you." Marcus smiled and nodded. Then he had an idea. He went to his laptop computer and turned it on. The woman backed away from the strange device, but Marcus gestured for her to come closer. He opened a basic drawing program and started creating simple pictures. A house, his cabin, food, water, fire for warmth, safety. Then he handed her the mouse and showed her how to use it. Her learning speed was incredible. Within minutes, she was creating detailed drawings on the screen. She drew her homeworld, a beautiful place with floating cities and gardens of light. She drew her people living in peace, studying and creating. Then she drew the invasion, ships darkening the sky, her people being captured and enslaved. The destruction of everything. Beautiful, but she also drew something else. She drew other worlds, other species that had been conquered. The invaders weren't just after her people, they were building an empire of slaves. Marcus stared at the screen and realized the truth. Earth wasn't just hiding one refugee. Earth was next on the list. The woman saw his understanding and nodded. Grimly, she drew spaceships, moving toward a blue-green planet that looked like Earth. They were coming here. Marcus looked at her, this injured, starving woman who had tried so hard to hide from a galaxy of dangers. And he made a decision that would change everything. He wasn't just going to protect her, he was going to help her fight back. The woman saw something change in his expression. For the first time since he'd found her, she didn't look afraid. She looked hopeful. The alien woman was living in my mountain cabin, Part 3. 2 weeks passed in a strange but peaceful routine. The alien woman who Marcus had started thinking of as Aurora because of her soft glow was getting stronger. She ate regularly now, and had gained back some weight. Her wounds were healing faster than should be possible. Every day they worked on communication. Aurora was incredibly smart. She learned English words quickly and taught Marcus some of her language in return. Her people were called the Salandri, which meant light weavers in their tongue. "My name," she said one morning, her voice like wind chimes, "is Zerilyn. But Aurora ... is good too." Marcus smiled. "Zerilyn is beautiful, but I'll call you." "Whatever you prefer, Aurora," she decided. "It is what I am to you." New beginning. She told him more about her world each day. The Salandri had been peaceful people who used biotechnology to grow their cities and heal their sick. They had never developed weapons because they had never needed them, until the HFY Empire found them. "They came in great ships," Aurora explained, her four hands moving as she spoke. "We tried to welcome them. Data do not want welcome. They want slaves." The HFY were conquerors who enslaved species across the galaxy. They were especially interested in the Salandri because of their advanced healing abilities and biotechnology. "My people now make weapons for them," Aurora said sadly. Forced to create death instead of life. Marcus felt sick thinking about it. But he also felt something else, determination. "We won't let them find you here." Aurora looked at him with her large, dark eyes. "You do not understand, Marcus. They will come. Earth is marked as primitive world. I think your people cannot fight." "They're wrong about that," Marcus said. Quietly that afternoon, Aurora showed him something that changed everything. She led him outside to a clearing behind the cabin where she had been working on a project, half buried in the dirt. It was a piece of twisted metal the size of a car. It was part of her ship, the one that had crashed months ago. "I have been trying to fix communication device," she said, "to warn my people that I am alive, but also ... to listen." She touched a section of the metal, and it came alive with lights and sounds. Strange voices spoke in languages Marcus didn't recognize. But Aurora understood them. Her glow dimmed with fear as she listened. "What is it?" Marcus asked. Aurora's voice was barely a whisper. "Hunter ships, 3 of them. In your solar system?" Marcus felt cold despite the warm afternoon sun. "How long do we have? 2 days? Maybe 3? They searched planet by planet, looking for energy signatures that match Salandri technology. Aurora touched another part of the device, a holographic. Display appeared showing the solar system. 3 red dots were moving between the planets, getting closer to Earth. "They will find me," Aurora said. "I am sorry, Marcus. I brought danger to your world." Marcus looked at the display, thinking hard. His mind was already working on the problem, like the military engineer he used to be. "No," he said firmly. "We're not giving up. Tell me about these hunters. What are their weaknesses?" Aurora was surprised by his calm response. "You do not understand. HFY hunters are machines of war. They have armor that can stop your strongest weapons. They have energy shields. They're trained to hunt and capture, not to kill quickly. That's their first mistake," Marcus said. They want you alive, which limits their options. What else? Aurora thought for a moment. They rely on technology, sensors, scanners, computers. They do not think they follow programming. Good. Predictable enemies are easier to beat. About numbers? 3 ships. Each carries 5 hunters. 15 total. Marcus nodded. 15 against 2. Bad odds, but he'd faced worse. Can you disable their sensors somehow? Aurora's eyes widened. You are thinking of fighting them? I'm thinking of protecting you and my planet. Can you mess with their technology? Aurora was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was stronger. Salandri technology can interfere with Kethfer systems. I have been hiding from their scans, but I could do the opposite. I could blind them. Perfect. What else can you do? Aurora led him back into the cabin and showed him the devices she had been making. Small glowing objects that could heal wounds instantly. Others that could generate energy shields. Some that could bend metal like clay. I have been preparing, she admitted. I hoped I would not need to fight, but I am not helpless. Marcus looked at her creations with new respect. You've been getting ready for war. I have been getting ready to run, Aurora corrected. But maybe... maybe it is time to stop running. That evening, Marcus made a phone call to his brother Tom. I need some supplies delivered, Marcus said carefully. The usual hunting gear, but more of it. Tom was quiet for a moment. He knew Marcus's code words from their military days. How much trouble are you in? The kind that requires backup. Can you call the old unit? Jesus, Marcus. What have you gotten into? I can't explain over the phone. Just trust me. And Tom, bring everything. We're going to need it. After hanging up, Marcus found Aurora watching him with curiosity. You have allies, she said. It wasn't a question. I have brothers, Marcus replied. Men I served with in the military. If I call, they come. No questions asked. Aurora nodded slowly. Like pact bonds among your species. Something like that. How many Salandri escaped the invasion? Few. Very few. Most are scattered across the galaxy, hiding like I was. Marcus had an idea. Could you contact them? Tell them to come here. Aurora's glow brightened with shock. Here to Earth? That would bring more hunters? Good, Marcus said grimly. Let them come. It's time someone made a stand. The next morning, Tom arrived with 3 other men Marcus hadn't seen in years. They brought enough weapons and equipment to arm a small army. They also brought questions. Marcus introduced them to Aurora, and their reactions were everything from shock to fascination to immediate acceptance. These were men who had seen combat in strange places against difficult enemies. An alien refugee just meant the enemy was different this time. So let me get this straight, said Jake, the team's former demolitions expert. Space slavers are coming to Earth to capture our new friend here, and we're going to stop them? That's the plan, Marcus confirmed. Good enough for me, Jake grinned. I always wondered what alien tech would look like when it explodes. Aurora watched the men prepare. With growing amazement, they worked with efficient teamwork, turning Marcus's peaceful cabin into a fortress. They set up weapons positions, prepared escape routes, and laid traps throughout the forest. But more importantly, they treated her like one of the team. They asked her opinion on tactics. They listened when she explained Kethfer weaknesses. They made jokes to keep her spirits up. Your species, Aurora said to Marcus as they watched the preparations, you are warriors. When we need to be, Marcus agreed. But we're also protectors. You're under our protection now. That night, Aurora's communication device detected the hunter ships entering Earth's atmosphere. 3 dark shapes dropped through the clouds toward the mountain range. Aurora looked at Marcus and his team. 5 humans with primitive weapons against 15 armored alien hunters. They will not expect resistance, she said. Marcus checked his rifle and smiled. Then they're about to learn something new about humanity. The hunt was about to begin. But the hunters were about to discover they had become the hunted. The alien woman was living in my mountain cabin. Part 4. The first hunter ship landed at dawn. Marcus watched through binoculars from his hidden position in the rocks above the cabin. The ship was massive black metal that seemed to absorb light. It settled in the clearing with no sound at all. "Movement," whispered Tom through his radio. He was positioned on the opposite ridge. 3 contacts exiting the ship. Marcus saw them too. The Kethfer hunters were 8 feet tall and covered in dark armor. They moved like machines, scanning the area with glowing red sensors built into their helmets. "They're heading straight." For the cabin, Jake reported from his position near the forest edge. "No stealth at all. Arrogant bastards." That was exactly what Marcus had hoped for. The hunters expected no resistance from primitive humans. They were walking into a trap. Aurora crouched beside Marcus in their rocky hiding spot. She had insisted on staying close to the action, despite his protests. "They scanned for my energy signature," she had explained. "I must be here to confuse their sensors." One of Aurora's devices was attached to her chest, a small, glowing disc that she said would scramble the hunters' tracking systems. To their sensors, she would appear to be everywhere and nowhere at once. The 3 hunters reached the cabin and spread out. 1 stayed outside while 2 entered through the front door. Marcus keyed his radio. "Phase 1, light them up." Jake's explosives went off first. The charges he'd buried around the cabin's foundation detonated in sequence, shaking the ground and filling the air with smoke and debris. The cabin didn't collapse, that wasn't the plan, but the explosions created chaos. Through the smoke, Marcus heard the distinctive whine of energy weapons. Hunters were firing at shadows. "Contact left," Tom called out. 1 hunter circling toward the forest. Marcus watched the hunter move through his scope. The alien warrior was fast and strong, but he was also predictable. He moved in straight lines, relying on his armor and shields for protection. Marcus squeezed the trigger. The bullet hit the hunter's center mass. The armor held, but the impact staggered the alien. Marcus fired twice more, forcing the hunter to take cover behind a tree. "Interesting," Aurora whispered. His shield absorbed the energy, but not the kinetic force. "Your weapons worked differently than they expected." The hunter tried to return fire, but now he was pinned down. Tom's rifle cracked from the other ridge, and the hunter's position became untenable. "They're adapting," Jake warned over the radio. "The other 2 are using the cabin for cover." That's when Aurora made her move. She activated one of her devices, a small sphere that pulsed with bright light. The pulse spread outward like a wave, and suddenly the hunter's energy weapons stopped working. "What did you do?" Marcus asked. "Electromagnetic interference," Aurora explained. "Their weapons are temporarily disabled, but so are their communications." Marcus grinned. "Then they can't call for backup yet." The battle shifted. Without their energy weapons, the hunters fell back on physical combat. They were still dangerous. Their armor made them nearly bulletproof, and their strength was incredible. But now they had to fight on human terms. Jake emerged from the forest behind one hunter, carrying a sledgehammer. The aliens spun to face him. But Jake was already swinging. Ada. The hammer hit the hunter's helmet with a sound like a bell. The hunter stumbled, and Jake hit him again. These things don't know how to fight dirty. Jake laughed as he dodged the hunter's clumsy grab. Meanwhile, Tom had worked his way around to flank the hunters by the cabin. His military training showed as he used the terrain and debris for cover. Picking his shots carefully, Marcus and Aurora moved down from their perch to join the fight. Aurora carried several of her devices, each one designed to level the playing field. The battle was fierce but brief. The hunters were deadly warriors, but they had trained to fight other advanced species with energy, weapons, and shields. They didn't know how to handle humans who used explosives, kinetic weapons, and guerrilla tactics. More importantly, they weren't prepared for enemies who fought as a team. When the smoke cleared, all 3 hunters were down. Not dead. Aurora had insisted they try to capture them alive. Definitely defeated. "Strip their gear," Marcus ordered. "Aurora, can you learn anything from their equipment?" Aurora examined the fallen hunters with professional interest. "Their armor is impressive, but it has weaknesses. The joints are vulnerable, and they're helmets. She touched one of the devices on a hunter's belt. I can use this. She activated the device, and suddenly they could hear voices speaking in the harsh Kethfer language. What are they saying? Tom asked. Aurora listened intently, her expression growing darker. The other 2 ships are landing. 10 more hunters. But also... ... She paused, looking worried. The resistance was unexpected. Marcus felt a chill. That's bad? It's very bad. If Earth is classified as interesting instead of primitive, the Kethfer Empire will send larger forces. They will study your species. Eventually they will decide if humans should be enslaved or destroyed. Jake spat on the ground. Let them. Come, we beat these 3, easy enough. But Marcus understood Aurora's concern. 3 hunters in a forest ambush was one thing. A full military invasion was another entirely. How long do we have? He asked. Aurora was already working with the captured communications device. The other hunters are moving carefully now. They know their comrades are defeated. They will arrive in 1 hour, but they will be ready for resistance. Good, Marcus said grimly, because we're ready for them too. Over the next hour, Marcus and his team transformed their battlefield. They used the captured hunter equipment to set new traps. Aurora's devices created false energy signatures throughout the forest, making it impossible for the incoming hunters to track their real positions. But the biggest change was psychological. Aurora watched the humans work and saw something the Kethfer had never encountered before. Humans got more dangerous when they were threatened. Marcus coordinated with calm efficiency, turning the mountain into a death trap. Tom scouted new positions and found perfect ambush spots. Jake rigged explosives with artistic creativity. Even the captured hunter equipment was repurposed into weapons. Your species, Aurora said to Marcus as they prepared for the next wave, you do not just adapt to war. You transform it. You protect what matters to us, Marcus replied simply. And you matter to us now. When the second wave of hunters arrived, they came prepared for human tactics. They had better armor, stronger shields, and they moved in coordinated formations. It didn't help them. The humans had evolved their tactics too. What the hunters found wasn't a simple ambush. It was a complex battle plan that used every advantage the mountain terrain offered. But as the second battle raged, Aurora detected something that made her glow dim with fear. Marcus, she called. Out during a brief pause in the fighting, the third ship, it's not landing. Marcus looked up at the sky where Aurora was pointing. High above them, barely visible, the third hunter ship hovered in place. What's it doing? Aurora's voice was tight with worry, calling for help. They have decided that Earth is not a primitive world. They are requesting a full battle fleet.
Marcus
Felt the weight of that statement. They had won the battles, but they might have just started a war. And somewhere in orbit above them, humanity's fate was being decided by aliens who had never expected humans to fight back. The hunters on the ground had stopped attacking. They were retreating to defensive positions, waiting for reinforcements that would change everything. Marcus looked at his team. At Aurora, at the beautiful mountain forest around them. Win or lose, nothing would ever be the same. But he smiled. Anyway, 'cause the galaxy was about to learn what Aurora had discovered in a quiet mountain cabin. Humans don't just survive, they fight for each other. The alien woman was living in my mountain cabin, Part 5, the massive Kethfer mothership arrived 6 hours later. Marcus watched it descend through the clouds. A kilometer-long war machine that blocked out the sun settled in the valley below. Like a dark mountain, its hull bristling with weapons that could destroy cities. Well, Jake said, lowering his binoculars, that's a big one. Aurora was working frantically with the captured hunter equipment, her 4 hands moving across alien controls. The fleet commander is broadcasting on all frequencies, she said. He is. Angry? What's he saying? Marcus asked. Aurora's translation made everyone go quiet. He says Earth will be classified as a Class 7 threat world. All human settlements will be destroyed. Any survivors will be enslaved. This is punishment for resisting the Empire. Tom spat into the dirt. Typical bully behavior. Beat up one. Of their hunting parties, so they bring the whole damn army. But Marcus was thinking. Something about this felt wrong. Aurora, why send hunters at all? If they wanted to destroy Earth, why not just do it from orbit? Aurora paused in her work. The Empire has rules. It must prove a species is too dangerous before authorizing full destruction. The hunters were supposed to be a simple capture mission. But we proved we're dangerous, Marcus said slowly. So now they have to follow through on their threat. Yes. Unless... double quotes. Aurora's glow brightened with sudden hope. Unless we can prove something else. Before she could explain, a new voice came through the alien communication device. This voice was different, calm, authoritative, speaking in perfect English. Humans of Earth, I am Fleet Commander Vexstar of the HFY Empire. You have interfered. With Imperial business, you have 48 hours to surrender the fugitive and submit to Imperial authority. Refuse, and your world burns. Marcus picked up the device. This is Marcus Chen. We don't negotiate with slavers. The woman is under our protection. A pause, then harsh laughter. You are primitives with crude weapons. You defeated 15 hunters through luck and terrain advantage. My ship carries 2,000 warriors and enough firepower to shatter continents. Then why are you talking to us instead of shooting? Marcus asked. Another pause, longer this time. When Vexstar spoke again, his voice was colder. You have 47 hours. The transmission ended. Aurora was staring at Marcus with amazement. You challenged him. Directly. No species does that to a HFY fleet commander. Maybe that's the problem, Marcus replied. Maybe it's time someone did. Over the next day, something remarkable happened. Aurora's communication equipment picked up transmissions from across the galaxy. News of the battle on Earth was spreading through the underground networks of conquered species. They're calling it impossible, Aurora translated, her voice filled with wonder. A primitive species defeating HFY hunters? Propaganda. Others say it is hope. More importantly, other Salandri were responding. The scattered survivors of Aurora's people were sending messages of support. A few were even heading toward Earth, carrying vital information about HFY weaknesses. But the biggest surprise came from an unexpected source. Marcus, Tom called out, pointing at the sky. We've got company. New ships were arriving. Not HFY. These were smaller, faster vessels from a dozen different species. They took positions around the HFY mothership, not attacking, but clearly watching. Aurora worked to identify them. Observers, she said excitedly, species that have been conquered by the Empire. They want to see if humans can really fight. Back, Marcus understood. Earth had become a symbol. If humans could resist the Empire, maybe others could too. That's when Marcus made the decision that changed galactic history. He activated the communication device and broadcast on all frequencies. Not just to the HFY, but to every ship in the system. This is Marcus Chen, speaking for Earth. We know you're all listening. The HFY Empire wants to destroy our world because we protected a refugee. So we refuse to let them take someone who asked for help. He paused, looking around at his team, at Aurora, at the forest that had become a battlefield. They call us primitive. They think we're weak because we don't have energy weapons or shield technology. But they're wrong about what makes a species strong. Aurora was translating in real time, broadcasting his words in dozens of languages to the watching ships. Strength isn't about weapons or armor. It's about standing up for what's right, even when you're outgunned. It's about protecting people who can't protect themselves. It's about never giving up, no matter how big the enemy. Marcus looked directly at the HFY mothership. Commander Vexstar, you want to know what makes humans dangerous? It's not our weapons. It's that we fight. For each other. And now, we're fighting for Aurora. And we're fighting for every species you've enslaved. The response was immediate. Energy readings spiked from the mothership as weapons powered up, but then something unprecedented happened. One of the observer ships, a vessel from a species called the Zenthari, moved between Earth and the mothership. Then another. Within minutes, protective formation had formed around Earth. Aurora was crying, actual tears of light flowing down her face. "They are standing with you," she whispered. "For the first time in 1,000 years, conquered species are standing. Together against the Empire." Commander Vextar's voice crackled through the communications. "This changes nothing. I will destroy you all." "No," said a new voice. "This one belonged to a Zenthari captain. You will not. The Galactic Council is watching. If you destroy Earth without proper cause, you violate the Imperial Charter. Other empires will intervene." Marcus didn't fully understand the politics, but he understood the result. Earth had allies now. The standoff lasted 3 more days. During that time, more ships arrived. Not just observers, but refugees from across the galaxy. Species that had been scattered by Kethfer conquest were coming to Earth. Drawn by the impossible story of humans who fought back, Aurora worked with them all, sharing technology and knowledge. Human ingenuity combined with alien science created new possibilities that neither could achieve alone. On the 4th day, Commander Vextar made his final decision. The mothership powered down its weapons and began to withdraw. "This is not over," his parting message warned. "The Empire remembers." "Good," Marcus replied. "So do we." After the Kethfer left, Earth found itself at the center of something new. An alliance of species that refused to accept imperial domination. They called it the Free Coalition, and it grew stronger every day. Aurora chose to stay on Earth as the Coalition's first ambassador. She kept her room in Marcus's cabin, though. It had been expanded considerably to accommodate the steady stream of refugee visitors. "Did you ever imagine this?" she asked Marcus one evening as they watched the sunset from the porch. Alien ships moved peacefully through Earth's sky, no longer hidden. "A galactic rebellion started in my cabin." Marcus chuckled. "Can't say I." "Did not the rebellion," Aurora said softly. "The friendship. When I was hiding behind your furniture, terrified and alone, did you imagine we would become family?" Marcus looked at her, this brave, brilliant woman who had brought the stars to his doorstep. "Yeah," he said. "I did, because that's what humans do. We help people who need help. And then they become part of our family." Aurora's glow brightened with happiness. In the distance, more ships were arriving, former slaves becoming free citizens. Joining a coalition built on the simple human principle that everyone deserved protection. The galaxy had learned what Marcus knew from the beginning. Strength wasn't about the size of your weapons. It was about the size of your heart, and humanity's heart was big enough for everyone.